Joe Manchin is a no vote. President Biden's Build Back Better bill is dead. Progressives are triggered, attacking Senator Manchin in person, cable news, and Twitter, and even disrespecting the great state of West Virginia. Hello, my people. It is your brother Van Door. Thank you for joining us on another quick episode. So, real quick, we're not going to dive into everything like we usually do. We are just going to cite some quick facts. Joe Manchin, he is a senator from the great state of West Virginia. Joe Manchin was elected by the people of West Virginia. Those are his constituents, the people who live in West Virginia. Now, West Virginia historically has gone Republican. All of these southern places, they go a lot of times Republican. So Joe Manchin is kind of swimming upstream in general. Now, I do believe that West Virginia went for Mr. Donald J. Trump in the 2020 election. And even still, with that being the case, they have decided to elect Joe Manchin, re-elect Joe Manchin to be the senator from the great state of West Virginia. This Build Back Better bill is supposed to be one of the largest, if not the largest, bills passed by the government, certainly in a long time, but maybe even overall in the history of our fiscal bills. It is a $2 trillion bill. Very, very hefty. This is on the heels of us as a country having record amount of inflation. I don't know if you've looked at prices for goods and services, but they're all up. I don't know if you've looked at gasoline prices, but it is up as well. A lot of this is happening because we already passed a bill. Many bills, in fact. We've also passed relief bills, coronavirus relief, giving families and individual citizens, corporations, a little bit of relief in the form of financial dollars. This has resulted in the economy being juiced up, a lot of cash coming into the economy all at one time. What is this bound to do? Well, luckily, we already know what it was gonna do because economists have studied this issue for many years. And when you print money and circulate it into the economy at a rapid rate like we did, it causes all goods and services to go up. Lumber, gasoline, shoes, hell, even cream cheese. Everything is at a shortage or going up. So these are problems that have been caused based upon us and what we're doing. On top of all this, we decided to pass a landmark legislation on infrastructure. America has not passed infrastructure in some time. So this bill that we just passed was significant. Joe Biden signed it into law. Unfortunately for the Democrats, or for the country, or for the Republicans, unfortunately for somebody, his bill that he is trying to push through, America does not seem to have the appetite for, especially in West Virginia. And that's where we come back to Mr. Joe Manchin, who is trying to sell this to his constituents and also trying to get reelected amidst a rash of bad ratings from the Joe Biden administration, amid a rash of bad polls. He is trying to stay ahead of this. The Democrats are likely going to get shellacked in this next midterm election as they have in the Virginia election. Now, I'm just reading the writing on the room, and I am not saying anything that the political analysts, the ones on MSNBC, but also the one on Fox News, all of the analysts are saying that it is heading in a red direction. So with all of that said, Mr. Joe Manchin is going to be the lone Democrat who stands in the way of Mr. Joe Biden and the Democratic progressives' big Build Back Better bill. However, what the media and all the progressives and everyone in the country who's mad at Joe Manchin is admitting is all of the Republicans are out. All of the Republicans are out. So that means that this is not a bipartisan bill. That means that they could not persuade one Republican in one swing district. That means this was dead on arrival, or this was going to be a purely one-party bill. They're going to shove it through, and America being a bipartisan nation as we are, a two-party system, they were going to shove through this massive landmark bill, hugest, maybe even the hugest bill in the country ever, on the heels of a midterm which could have them shellacked. And if they don't get this bill, it's dead. If they don't get it by the end of the year, it's probably dead. You know what? It's dead. I am very sorry for Mr. Joe Biden and the progressives' agenda. However, this bill was not as popular as they thought it was going to be. And if they wanted it to be even more popular, they would have stopped this inflation. They would have tried to lower gas prices. They would have tried to do more for the average American person. However, instead of doing that, they're focusing on mandates and focusing on all these other progressive wish list ideals, like they have the numbers for that. Mr. Joe Biden and the administration who was supposed to bring in unity should feel ashamed of themselves. And oh, Mr. Joe Manchin, nothing, not anger, not happiness, not anything, because he is not acting for them. He is reacting and acting in the best interest for his constituents. He is acting in the best interest of Mr. Joe Manchin. If Mr. Joe Manchin wants to get reelected in the state of Virginia, West Virginia. So, my people, the conclusion, and I did know I was not going to go off on this issue, but the easy conclusion here is very simple. The Democrats have overplayed their hand. They have done so many unpopular actions. And you know, it's not all their fault. We were in America's biggest and nastiest war ever. Joe Biden did campaign on taking us out of the war and doing all these things. The problem is in the details. Like the devil is in the details. That's a great saying right now. Because Mr. Biden did say he was going to bring us out, and he did say he was going to bring us out of coronavirus, and he did say he was going to help the economy. He just didn't say exactly how. With the mandates and worker cuttage, because when people are being told they have to take something and do something, they're going to quit. So he didn't say that he was going to do that. In fact, he explicitly said he was not going to do mandates, issue big mandates, because that's not the goal of the federal government.
No, I don't think it should be mandatory. I wouldn't demand to be mandatory, but I would do everything in my power. Just like I don't think masks have to be made mandatory nationwide. I'll do everything in my power as President of the United States to encourage people to do the right thing.
That turned out to be a lie. When he said he was going to remove us from the Afghanistan war situation. You know, that was okay. That's fine and dandy. Guess what? Americans supported that. He just didn't say how, and guess how he did it? Cut and dry. F the people who helped our country. Forget everybody. We're just leaving. You're on the cargo plane. It don't matter. We're gonna fly this plane out of here, baby. We're gone. Hasta la vista, Afghanistan. That is how Mr. Joe Biden decided to get us out. And with all the other crises, the way that he's going about it is wrong. And with the economy, the juicing and the overpouring of the stimulus, the $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief, in which he was not even trying to negotiate lower with the Republicans. The Republicans were on board. They wanted a lot of funding. They wanted a record amount of funding. However, They didn't want $1.9 trillion. That was his compromise. That was what he wanted. And guess what? The economy is suffering for it. And guess what? His poll numbers are down because of all of these unpopular actions. And he wants Mr. Joe Manchin in a super swing state, in a state that's not even a swing state. It's a hard R. In a state that he is a hard Democrat in a hard R state. He wants him to go with this unpopular legislation. He wants him to go down with a sinking ship. You know what, Mr. Joe Manchin? You are the winner. You are the winner in this situation, and kudos to you, my sir, because you have stood up to the powers that be. I am not left or right. I do not have any political persuasion other than the American people. And if you really support democracy, you will support the people of West Virginia and their choice on the Senator Joe Manchin. My people, I appreciate you watching this episode of Van Door the Source with me. This is a very interesting time in politics right now because we have people screaming at a 10 on all sides. Sometimes you must really sit down and dive deep on these issues. And I certainly hope that you are going to choose your brother Van Door to dive in on. Your brother Van Door is growing, trying to get more subscribers, more viewers, more comments, and more interaction. Thank you for watching. And if you can, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let's dive in.